Okay, we should be live. Welcome to everybody here. So today here, what we're going to talk about is what we're going to code is going to be our GENAI library. So that is a library that I maintain. And we're going to implement the multi-part. So it's relatively an intermediate kind of videos in a way, because we will get into a real library. So this is not like, let's learn something, it's more like, let's fix something in a way, or refactor in this case, and to add more functionality. And the cool thing about today is that we are going to learn how we are going, how to improve a refactor, a real crate. And we're also going to learn, it's going to be very cool because we're going to learn how different APIs, LLM APIs works. And that is going to be very nice because this way we can get down to it. And then one thing that we're going to also try is ChatGPT, OpenAI just released their new open source model. So with GENAI, we can talk to anybody, and I integrated Fireworks, which will let us integrate directly with that. So that should be pretty cool. So let's get right into it. And it's something I needed to do anyway. So in a way, I'm doing it because I needed to do it anyway. So I'm doing it live. So I'm restarting these kind of videos when I can. So let's do that. And so that is a crate. Oh, big mistake. Sorry, I just close all my codes. Okay, so that is funny. Okay. Okay, so somehow, okay, I close just this window, GENAI, and I'm going to snap it there. Okay, we're back to square one. Okay, so that is the crate of GENAI, which allows us to talk to all of these adapters. So that is what we have right now. And the goal here of this video is to implement the multi-part, to refactor the multi-part. And the reason here is when you send chat to an AI provider, so GENAI support all of these AI providers, and with Google, Anthropic, and OpenAI, it goes to the native protocol. And then all of these other guys are going to use the OpenAI adapter with some variant, because there's some little variants on all of this. And so the architecture, we have an adapter architecture, which allows us to do this kind of variant pair providers. So the way here in Grok, I forgot Grok here, by the way, the way that we can do with Grok and we capture the usage is a little bit different than with others. And sometimes you need to set the max token to make sure it's usable and all these kind of things. And GENAI take care of all of this, even if those guys are with the OpenAI adapter protocol in a way. So that is what we're going to do. And what we're going to do is go and look at the code. So if we go and look at the code and we do a talkie on this guy, we're going to see that it's a 10,000 sort of line of code of Rust. Yeah, kind of, with the comments. There's not enough comments, by the way, so that's something else. But the point is that it's a decent crate, not huge, but not super small either. And we have this adapter approach, which allows us to talk to every protocol. So again, when we go to Google Gemini, we go with a native protocol. And this is very cool because GENAI, I think, is the only crate that allows you to add suffix to Gemini models and have dash high, dash medium, dash low, but you can also with the API put exactly the thinking budget if you want. And you can also put dash 0 as a suffix for the Flash 2.5. They don't support that for Flash. You cannot put Flash 2.5, Gemini 2.5 Pro at zero budget, it doesn't support it, Google, but for the Flash you can. So you get the Flash at a very, without reasoning, which I think is about the same thing as Light. So the point here is GenAI normalize what is a message for all of those guys. Yeah, because sometimes when it is Gemini or Anthropic, it's a different kind of format. So the way it works here, if we go to the architecture, we have the adapters that really know how to adapt to serialize it. And then we go to our chat message over there, and then we're going to have a chat message. And the chat message has a role, has a message content, and has a message content options, for cache control and everything. And the message content, that is what is being sent in an individual message. That is where it's a text, yeah? So it could be a text. Or it could be, this is what we're going to refactor. Today it can be a multi-part. So when you are sending binary to say about this image or this PDF, for example, you want multi-part. It's the same thing as the web in a way. And so you are sending some text and then you are saying, well, this one, we're going to send it as a binary as well. So binary is a way to send it over text protocol is base 64. And so right now, the way it is done in GenAI is I have this other enum, which is parts, and it's a vector of content part. And that could be text and image. And now you probably see the problem here. Why do I have a vector of parts? And then here I have only text. So now I have text there, but I have text here too. And in fact, if we go back of who has this guy, we are going to see that our chat message when you do a chat request, sorry, I'm being slow here, we have a vector of chat message, which then has roles, and then the message content, and then the message content has either text or the multipart. And so the question here is to say, well, will it make sense to say, well, the message content wouldn't be, well, now I understand. And so the reason why I did that is because this way, if I ask a question about something, like, for example, the use case is you send, can you summarize what this image is about? And then we will create a chat message. And in this case, what we're doing is rather to have two messages. We are creating one message with one message content. And inside this message content, we go to the multipart guy. And that is where we have this multipart. And so it's very important here to understand how that works is to look at the test. So in fact, we have the test, and we're going to look at the OpenAI guy. So we're going to look at this guy. And I'm going to do, so this is a little script. I did a live about this to set my environment keys inside the environment variable. And now I should be able to run that guy here. Yeah, so this test underscore p OpenAI. So this is what we're going to run. And we are going to run. So the way I've done it is because this script is a little bit special. Yes, we have this kind of multi-AI kind of business there where, it's all by AI providers and everything. So usually when you test, you want to test one provider at a time. That is a good way. And then you test multiple providers for the same function. So what I've done here in GenAI is I have this test by providers like this. P, that means it's a provider. and then I have the name of the provider and then the Anthropic. That was basically, by the way, a very cool PR that someone did to add embeddings to GENAI. So big thank you to the one that did that. So I merged it. And so this one, we're going to take the OpenAI, and then we're going to see how the image guys is doing. So you have the image URL, which is not supported by everybody, but the one that is very well supported is the image B64, which makes sense. So the way I do it is like this. I have this CWT, which is a script, is a shell script, and I can do functions. I'm going to do function to show you the code here. Someone told me that, void byte, told me that yesterday in the live, which was awesome. So that is my little function, which basically, if there is one parameter, I do a cargo watch like this. If there is two, the first one is going to be the file, and then the second one is going to be the filter. And with that little thing, now I can do CWT test P OpenAI, and then I'm copying this one because I just want to test that. And that is a way that I do a lot of, boom, I have the thing here, which is fine. Okay, that's fair enough. I didn't spell it right, sorry. And now I'm going to test just this guy. Now, the CWT that I'm using all the time has the no capture business. And that allows me now, and that is what I want, I can do debug prints. So there's two styles of doing debug coding and stuff, is with breakpoints and print. None are, it's a style preferences. If someone tells you, well, this one is for serious people and this one is for, Mickey Mouse guys, they don't know what they're talking about. It's really kind of depending on your style of how you do. Like, for example, for me, I do a lot of event-based architecture. I like that. So here we don't have event-based, but often I have event-based. And breaking point sometimes you can, but it adds more complexity here. And it adds side effects that sometimes you don't see things happening the right way. So I like debug print a lot, much better, especially specifically in Rust. But nothing wrong with breaking point if that works for you. So now, what I'm going to do is I want to understand what we're doing. And what we're doing is we see that we'll have a chat message. And we are saying it's a vector and the content part. And then we have this little utility, which is shared because we have our little duck. Where's our little duck? We have a little duck in data. So very small file. Don't put big files into your code. But this one is our little duck. And the goal is to say what it is. And then it should say duck. And if you say duck, we're happy. So now I should probably do a lowercase, but actually it works pretty well. So now, for example, if we do something like that, we're going to do a chat rec. And that will give us, well, now it will give us this big stuff here, which we probably didn't need to have. But it will give us these things here, which is a message. The first one here is a text, and then the second one is an image, which is the base64. So that makes sense. Now, the question is, do we really need to have this vector of things? So there's two things that I need to implement in GENAI. One is there is a cool PR about adding PDF. And in fact, PDF is the same thing as an image, except that it's a binary file. I mean, we could have a PDF enum, or we could have a binary file which has a content type. Image PDF, and then we send that, and then we make sure that we're sending it the right way to all of the different guys. So that could be one. And then the other one is we have the content part here, and say, should we do that? Chat message, and then we do a user, and that is one message, which is a multi-part. Or should we create multiple messages One being, so what we're saying is to say, well, in messages now, so there's many ways of skinning the cat. The thing I don't like, and here's again, I'm doing live coding, is something I need to do. So I'm explaining what goes to my head. And I don't have the full design yet. And so it's a little bit tricky to do this live because I don't have the full design in my head. So it's not as smooth as it could be on the live. But I'm sharing the way I'm thinking out loud. And the trick here, what I probably do not want, I do not want, it's nice that it's one message. Hey, void by. Thank you. I used your tip today of showing my shell script. So that was pretty cool. So bottom line is, I'm going to repeat a little bit where we are, is we are here. GENAI is a crate that normalizes GENAI APIs for all providers. But sometimes, compared to other ones, sometimes it goes to native protocol. So here I go natively to Google, natively to Anthropic. I go natively to OpenAI. And then those guys are using the OpenAI adapters with some variance sometimes. Now, what we need to implement is we already have the support for images. That's great. And we need to implement the support for PDF. So there's a very cool, and it's a cool company. I don't remember the name. That's pretty bad. I mean, but there's a cool PR. If you go there, Rust, GENAI, and if you go there, there's a cool one here, which is Anthropic PDF support. Yeah, from Andrew Rechmaker. So that is very cool. And it was cool because he did it. He said it's just an experiment and everything, but it's just to show some code. So it's interesting, yeah, because nice, it tells me two things about this one. It's to say, well, go back to my design. And right now, we're working on 0.4 of the code. So the public is 0.3, but we are working on 0.4, which has quite a bit of new API, very cool namespacing, and I'm already using it in AI Pack. So it's pretty robust. Just have a lot of API changes, and that might be one of them. The things that I don't like here, thinking out loud, is, okay, here we appended a message, and in the message, we are saying, well, it's a multi-part message. So I have these things to say, now we have content into, which is good, and the into message content can take multiple parts. And so it has this from. So it's important on API ergonomics to have the nice into, because this way things are much easier for everybody. Now, the things that I don't really like, there's two things I don't like, We need to improve this API. The first thing is to say, well, if you go to content part, this guy, if we need to implement PDF, for example, there's two ways. We can say, well, we have PDF. And I guess if we have PDF, we do not need content type, because we know what is the content type, whatever it is. And then we have the source. And then we go and look at this guy. And we say, okay, the source could be a URL or could be a base64. But now what we're saying is to say, well, okay, this is going to be annoying. So I'm going to create another guy, PDF source. And that is weird because it doesn't really matter if it's PDF or any images in a way. So while it looks good, it's not necessarily good. So that is the thing here that I'm saying. So I'm saying, well, I have the message content, I have multiple parts. Having PDF will be not good. I mean, I can go this route, but stuff. And so the problem is my API is leading me to go there, but that was a shortcoming or whatever, yeah? So that was a PR, but I would have done it the same way. So I'm not blaming the one that did the PR. I might have done it, or it might be me doing this, I don't remember. But I would have done this the same way. And in fact, we should have binary. So that is one first thing here to say, hey, we have the thing, and then we rename this guy binary. And I think that that would be a much better way. If you have any feedback, you can feel free to send back. But this way, if we have binary, and then binary and content type, then it's up to the guy to put the right content type and the right binary and our little story. And every time I design API, I'm telling the story, I'm telling you right now out loud. I'm saying it in my head and in my little stories. The story is here. It's to say any binary has two formats, which is the URL and the base 64. Now, there's a little kind of variant into these things. Is right now we are assuming what we're saying here is that the URL is not the responsibility of GENAI to load the URL and to send it back. There were a good comment which I disagree, and now I changed my mind. I agree back with him. He was right. There were a good comment in the image. I think it was the guy that added the image. And said GENAI shouldn't be in the business of downloading or even file support automatically. That shouldn't be the GENAI responsibility. Now, I can have utilities to do that, but the message format should say, if you give me URL, it means that and you are putting in the chat request, it means that you assume that the AI has a URL support, which is important at some point, because with AI, sometimes you want them to do that because they might have the auth or whatever. But sometimes you have the thing on your end. So I think that was a good thing that he was saying. I was thinking after it, and I was like, well, this is right. The chat request message should match what we're sending and not do some like magic. Now, I do want to have some utilities to say, hey, create me the binary for this guy. But that is a different problem. So I think the first thing that we're going to do here is for this multi-part support, which is already supported here somehow, we can make it more generic. So rather to have images, we can have binary. I think that would be much better. So let's do that. So first of all, the way I do it, so I did some changes here. So I'm going to do Z, but I think I'm going to go back to this guy. So I'm going back, I'm going to look here, just the test, because then I do the print. And now I do that, okay? So now in my head, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to refactor that. Now, we are very lucky because we are coding in Rust. And sometimes we don't know how lucky we are. And the reason why is because it's super cool to refactor. You know, things are going to. So right now, so I have two approaches. One approach is I can do F2 and I can do binary like that. And that would change everybody. And I won't really feel the pain too much. Actually, we can do that. Let's do that. I do that. And that actually I press save. And this is why I have my save business, because now I can see sub-second, kind of, the thing working. This is why I'm doing. And if there's one thing of all the videos that I'm doing is, whatever works for you, put yourself in a way that you can iterate. Save, you see. Save, you see. Whatever you use, if you use telemetry or whatever, you want to have this little workflow because it's heaven. So now we know that we change a guy and then nobody kind of, everything worked. In fact, if we look here at Git, and it's very important to have a very good Git discipline. And moreover, when we work with AI, Git discipline is even more important. In this case, I don't really want AI to make this reasoning for me. I want to do it, and eventually I might say, hey, AI, go and change it. Perhaps, I'm not sure. Like library, sometimes I like to have the hand things. Yeah, very cool question here about byte. I have a question, why URL is a string inside and base 64 for str? Okay, we'll go back there. This is awesome. So we have text, we have a string, we have binary, we have a thing, and then we have arc str. The reason is, and this is a call I made, it can be arguable, is usually when you have a base 64, it's already a relatively bigger string than anything else. And because all of these guys can be cloned when you have a conversation, you want to clone it and all these kind of things. Making everything arc will be overkill and probably a little bit silly. The text will be arguable, but even then, it's not really clear. but the content of the file, which sometimes might be megabyte, yeah. In this case, I made sure, because I'm paranoid with my Git to keep them small, that the doc is a very small doc. But often this base64 will be megabyte, and it's fine to take the minuscule, insignificant overhead of Arc, and still, but making sure that every time we do clone, we don't clone the beast of the whole base64. So that's why on base64, I want a little bit brute force and to say, hey, you know what? This is going to be an Arc str. Anyway, it doesn't make any sense to edit it, yeah, because you're not going to change base64 in the middle of things. And then this way, at least this one, when you clone it, it won't go out of control. Yeah. So that, hopefully I answer the questions. There could be an argument to say, hey, this is CD for X or Y. The reason I think is fine in this case. Yeah. Now, I don't want to put everything Arc str because that would be too much. And anyway, too many arcs doesn't make sense either. Yeah. So let me know if I answer your question, but that was the reasoning before. Even if it was a bad one, that was it. So now I have this content part going back there. I have the binary, and then it changed everybody, and everything works. So I have a way here where I can say, well, okay, that's fine. I did that. Everything works. I'm happy. And I don't want to work by hand, but I want to check anyway. That is what I will do. I will do and check like that. By the way, usually obviously my stuff is smaller, yeah. So doesn't support images for URL. So you see, that is where it's starting to get a little bit trickier. And this is why it's important here to take your time when you do this refactoring. And I'm going to tell you why. Yeah. Before, when we have image in our little Anthropic, what we say is that, okay, cool, that, you know, we have image here. So we are in Anthropic, yeah, Anthropic adapter. We have image here, and then we are saying Anthropic doesn't support image URL. That's cool, yeah, because we have image URL there. So that's cool. We don't check the content type. There's nothing that check content type there. We just pass it through. And these guys, they say media type. And so that allows us to say, well, we know it's an image. So this is type image. And then this is content type. So that is a benefit of knowing what we're putting where. And so the problem here is that now I don't like that, because binary here, I cannot make this assumption. This one is wrong, and that is wrong. So now I will be in the business of saying, okay, I'm going to look at the content type and trying to know which content type is what. Do I want to have that in GENAI? I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure I want that in GENAI. So now I'm thinking, and again, I'm thinking live here. Yeah, so I'm not, these lives, they are not show-off kind of lives. They are like, I need to code sometime or learning something. I'm doing live kind of things. So now I'm saying, well, you know what I thought about? It looks cool to say binary, content part binary, but now I am in this kind of mode where I cannot be image specific. Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of that. So perhaps, and then let's look at other adapters, guys. Yeah, so this one, and perhaps we can just look like this, might be okay. So let's look at the GENAI one. So you see the reason why there's only 3 guys changing, and Cohere doesn't support, because Cohere go native as well in Cohere. But I don't know where they are, these guys these days. But the point is, we look at the adapter, we have GENAI, and then everybody else is using OpenAI. So we're fine. And right now, we're using OpenAI in our test stuff, which is normal, which is what I wanted. So now if I go there, sometimes there's a cool things that shows what it changed. So it changed that, and then image source URL. Oh, you see that? It's interesting, huh? Thinking. So in this case, for example, I'm not sure. In this case, it doesn't do anything. It makes sense in a way. Because this is what I have my image source here, which is just the URL, but Gemini doesn't care. So you tell me the stuff and you say file data, MIME type and URI, and I will do the stuff on my side. And in our case, MIME type, I think there's a difference, I don't know. But MIME type and content type, I think we can say is the same thing. So it's funny, yeah, because in Anthropic, they are, and it's fine, I'm not saying they are wrong at all. Yeah, that's not at all the discussion here. But they are specific to this guy. So this means that if I'm binary here, I'm making an assumption here that I'm not happy about this guy and that. And then I need to look at the content type and be smart. I'm kind of mixed on this one. This one is nice because I don't need to care. So in a way, it's not my, it's not the GENAI kind of things. And then if I go this way, this is that guy, binary, and image source. I should have renamed it binary, by the way. And image, this one is same thing, yeah? This is an image business kind of stuff. I have the thing in the URL here, but then I need this. So the thing I'm thinking right now is to say, okay, this binary stuff was a bad idea over there. Let's say that is a bad idea over there. Now, what might be a good idea, so what I will do here is something like that. What I want is, I will do a git switch create, and then I would say XP parts, whatever. I will remove it later. Then what I will do is I will commit only my common test, and I will put a tilde and say prep content parts, prep code, prep debug code. Okay. My goal of this is to have my prep code there, and that is what I want to git restore. That's my goal, yeah? So like this, I go here, and I git restore. I still have my debug print over there, so I don't have to add it back. And then, boom, I'm back there. The thing works. We compile it, and then I'm back. And then I see that, and then I'm happy. So now, the other strategy could be to say, okay, that was a bad strategy of doing binary, because for both Anthropic and OpenAI, and all of the OpenAI guys, if we go that way, then GENAI is in the business of parsing content type. And I don't want, and it's not Jeremy, don't want to, is any architecture is about having the right responsibility at the right place. Yeah? Sometimes it's called, separation of concern, or whatever you read in the book. Books doesn't matter. But the point is, right thing at the right place. So the point is, that is not the right thing at the right place. I'm not sure I want to be in the business of parsing that. So and at some point, I might revisit that. Might be wrong, yeah? But that is the thing. Okay, I'm learning, hey, so you are like a key fan, I think. That's pretty cool. So I'm learning Rust for 5 months, but I don't feel confident. What should I do? How should I approach what, production coding or stuff? I think it's more like you code little utilities for you as much as you can. And I think that is something that helps a lot, build confidence and things. And then you try to either participate into another project if you have friends or whatever, or find a job in Rust. So I think that is a two option here. But otherwise, writing a lot of utilities for you is pretty cool. Even if you like, you can publish it on crate.io or just for yourself, just making your life easier. With GENAI, I mean, obviously, or GENAI or Async OpenAI also is a good one. You can write some pretty cool utilities with AI stuff, like very cool stuff. So, you can play with those kind of things. I think that is a good way. So anyway, now I don't like this. So if I put, what you have seen is if we put binary there and stuff. Sometimes, by the way, what I'm doing as well is I do not press F2. I do not do that because that will make that nothing breaks. Sometimes I want to break it. I'm putting binary, press save, and then I go hand by hand. But in fact, this strategy works as well, the one I'm showing with a commit and all of that. So now, the other one here, which I think makes sense, and because I'm doing a release, a big release of GENAI 0.4, is the time right now to change the APIs, because we're changing APIs for a lot of things. There's a lot of cool values and things. So I'm trying to limit, the pain, and I will document it. And here we're not removing anything. We're making things better. So it's always a challenge, but that's why you need to respect the same var, such as people doesn't have bad surprises. So what we're going to do here is this content type image source like that. And we're going to click on that guy. And I'm thinking about having this type being the binary guy. So that is what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking, what about this is a binary guy? Now I don't like that guy. Yeah, because every time it's going to be duplicated, which might be okay. But this guy could be, its own stuff. So that could be a binary content. And in fact, I could have a binary content. Well, that might be a good idea. I could have a binary content which has content type and things. So I could have something like that. I could have image. So here's it's not going to be happy, but I could have image, and then I will say binary content. PDF. This might not be bad. Binary content. So in the case of PDF, you have one-to-one between PDF and content type. In the case of images, it's not the case. In the case of video, it's not the case, and so on and so on. So that means that later, let's say that we'll have something on XLX like that. Yeah. So that is a catch. Yeah. Every time there's a new format, it's like that. So this means that every time there's a new format, but that is a way a little bit they did it in some of the API, except Gemini. Gemini is a good one, I think, no? Gemini is a good one on this one. And sometimes the API is a tricky one, by the way. They have a crazy way of doing streaming. But on this one, it's good because they say, you send us the file data and we figure it out. And that's nice because I don't need to update GENAI every time a new AI supports something. So yeah, I agree. Yes, with the recommendation of VoidByte here. It's an awesome one. So that is my thing. If I go this way, the nice thing is that we have simplified that, and we're going to say binary has content type, and then we have a binary source, for example. That's fine. But the problem is like every time, I don't know. Anthropic say, hey, now we support docx or doc. If they go crazy doc, I don't think they will but docx or whatever, then I will have to add those guys there. And it's a little bit on the weirdo side. Now, to be honest, I don't think that AIs are going to go crazy on multi-file support. That is a two kind of strategies that I can go. So either we go with image, binary. So that is a two option that I have. And that is what I'm thinking right now. Yeah. So option 1, I have this, and I like to type it sometime like this because I can see how it goes. I have a better feel of how it goes. And option 2, and again, often what I say about anything, architecture, coding, or anything actually, I don't believe in truth. I believe in proximity. It's a whole proximity game. So we're not going to find the perfect solution of, oh, my design. It's always a proximity game where you choose your angle of attack in a way, or your vector of perfection or like of getting better. And then you're like trying to stay consistent with yourself. But there might be another approach which might be as good or even better. It doesn't really matter. It's how close of the infinite point we're getting to. Yeah. So that's one way where we have image PDF. So we actually normalize this guy. So I think that is important. It's like there's no value whatsoever to have content type and the URL or stuff. This doesn't make any sense. So we can normalize that into one guy. Now, content type is for everybody. URL and stuff is enum. So that's why we'll probably have binary content and we'll have binary source. I think that's fair. Now, option 1 is to say, well, we're going to have every time there's a new file type, not content type, file type. So file type, like media, images, videos, PDF. So Word, Excel, and stuff would be their own category, but it could be Office. I don't know, it would be weird, but yeah. So video will be one, perhaps one day. So those guys will go there. Yeah, so we're going to see that, and we're going to say XLX. And I'm writing those such as in my brain, I can say, oh, okay, this is what it might look like. The option 2, so I know this is bad. Yeah. The option 2 is to say we go with binary. And then on this one, we can have content type. Because now we can have source, and that will be binary source. We can have that. That's fair enough. I'm not pressing save because otherwise it's going to have all this little thing. So that would be good. The problem is now I am in the business of knowing what is an image or not for the Anthropic and the OpenAI. And I don't know if I want to be there. Now, it's not like content type is not like something that varied a lot. So perhaps I'm overthinking the stuff. Those types are pretty contained in a way. And I don't think that, for example, the new WebC, or I don't remember the WebP and all of those newer guys. I'm not sure these AI guys will support it soon. So I can even embrace those right now. So that might not be a big issue. Yeah, so that is the issue. So I'm contradicting what I was saying before, and I don't care. Yeah, the point is how to trying to come to the best solution. So that is issue, and this is going to be GENAI knows how to match content type to a class of files, images for Anthropic and OpenAI. Okay. This issue of this one is that need to grow the variant as needed. The reason why I don't like that at all is because we're entering in a realm of fine-tuning and everything, and sometimes might have, someone might take a model, fine-tuning for XLS, X, and it's really something specific over there. And then it's like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, but, I didn't even know about that. And it wouldn't really make sense to add it. And now they're like a little bit stuck. So this is why I'm not a big fan of this one anymore. So it's funny. I was there. Now like I'm saying, yeah, perhaps this one is more contained and might add more flexibility there. And then the option 3 is a mix of the two. It's to say, well, we have image and PDF. Those are the two big guys. And then we have, well, so now it's going to start complaining here, but, and then we have binary as a fallback. But this is it's very ugly. I don't like this one. So you know what? I think I'm going to go back between these two here. The thing I don't like about this one, again, is if someone does a fine-tuned model about something, a new file format, and well, the problem is my OpenAI is not going to support it. Image URL. Yeah, this stuff is as image URL as it can be. Oh, well, let's do a search here. We're going to do that. OpenAI API for PDF. File input. How can I use? The problem here is chat completion, but I want the oh, here it is. Type file. File ID. What is that? Role, content, type file, file ID. What is the first dragon in the book? That is interesting. That the problem is it creates a files business. That is not a chat. That is a stuff, but it's assume here you are creating a file and you are storing it there. So that is their proprietary API. People don't support that. Oh, basic. Oh, God, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. So actually, okay, so this is the thing. So you see, I went back and forth. Yeah, at the beginning, I didn't like the binary option. I was like, making like big stuff about not liking binary options. But now, actually, I'm saying, you know what? This is cool because they do support it. Type file, and then they have this guy. So that is, they do support it. They have type file, and then they support that. And then what we have right now in our little adapter of OpenAI, we have type image URL and type image URL. They use the same one for base64, just that the URL content is, the things where you have the base64 encoded in it. So that's the way OpenAI is doing it, which is fine. But now the cool thing is they have this. So this is awesome. This is awesome because now we'll be able to support that. Okay, I'm getting excited. So going back there, and I'm going to change everything I was saying. I don't even care. We're not going there. We're going this way. And the reason why we're going this way is because it's fine. Image file formats are kind of known. And I will have as part of binary, I will have a isImage kind of function, such as in my guys, I don't need to do that. And then we'll store it, something like that. And then we'll have our binary source. So now I press save, it's going to do kaboom because the stuff, I don't know where I am, I don't want to think about it. And this is why I have this. Git restore, boom. That goes back, press save. Don't worry, I think it's because I'm faster than... we are too fast for VS Code. And so the thing I'm saying is now I'm happy. Because in fact, what we're going to do is to say binary, and then we're going to say if it's binary, then we do, if it is images, then we'll go, I mean, GENAI doesn't care, sorry. On this guy, we'll say if images, we'll do this, and if it's not, we'll do that. And then we'll be happy kids. And then for Anthropic, we might say we don't support it, but I think Anthropic actually does the same kind of things. And we can say, oh, if it's PDF, we can have a is PDF. So my strategy is changing here compared. So this is pretty cool. So we have the content part, and we are going to rename it binary. F2, binary. Boom. Press save. Everybody works. And then I have my cargo watch, and then this guy should be happy. Okay. Now that we have this, I'm going to go that guy, and I'm going to say binary source. Press save. Boom. Everything should work. Now, we should test also the other guys, but here there's no reason why it doesn't work. So now that we have this, I'm going to go there, git log, and I'm going to steal in my XP things. And I'm going to, I can do another commit and then squash later. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to do a git add. We don't really need it, but git c, which is an alias for the thing, and this is still this work in progress. Content part. And this is to say that is a change. I will squash them later, and that will be now just something for me to know. And usually what I do is I use fork. I'm a big fan of fork. Unfortunately, they don't have the plus here. One thing I would love is if they have plus to make it bigger size. But with fork, I can see all of the things, and then I can squash and everything, because I never know the commands to squash. So this is pretty cool. So now we have this, works nice, and then it works nice there. And this is pretty cool. Now, the thing that, it's interesting. So that goes back a little bit to our stuff over there. Yeah, a message. So it's a tricky one here. And I had a discussion with the person of the PDF here, trying to flatten this out, but I can't really flatten the things because I don't want to make the assumption is because a message, a chat request, but that is for another PR. Yeah. The question is to say, a chat request has multiple messages. And when it has multiple messages, every message has a role. So a message content, I could do a vector of message content to flatten out, but the content needs to be, I cannot make multiple messages if I have multiple parts. That will break everything. Yeah. So the question later is to say, should I flatten out message content, such as here is more like message content is more a vector of text and binary and everything, rather to have this nested stuff. So that will be part of probably another refactoring. Today we are going to refactor this guy here, the multi-parts. And then later, or perhaps today, I don't know, we'll refactor the rest. So now, we do the test, we do this, the binary source, what we want in our content part is we want to say from images. Okay, so that was nice. So some helper function from text, okay. And then, so I like to break my blocks like that. I like to put things in code region like that. So now that we are going to have multiple blocks, I'm going to say content part. And so I have a little, I think it's part of the Rust 10x extension. And so that means that when I do a git, you see, I can see all of the nice things like that. And I like that. So I can see my the main implementation over there. Then I have the content part, the froms. I don't know why I have two froms. Oh, the froms of content parts. So that I will put that. And I will put that. I need to be careful here about what I'm doing because I think with folding, you have to be careful. Okay, press save, everything compiles, and then that's it. And usually what I will do here, I will do a git log, and I will do a git amend. Do a git log before to make sure you don't go crazy. So now what we want is we have the constructors, we have the froms. I'm going to make it like that. And now I'm going to make the assessors or the, I don't know if that is the right word, but I will implement content part, and I will say is image. And I will take a self pub fn, and that will return a Boolean. That's fair. And then in the content part, we're going to say if it's text, it's not. And then if it's binary, we look at the content type. So far, so good. So we do a match, self. We're going to fix that. This one is going to be none. And then this one, we're going to do the logic over there. And we have two ways to do it. I mean, we have many ways of doing it. There's probably a crate that does that. But we're going to do, and I have no shame, never have shame of using OpenAI. So here I'm not using Procoder of AI Pack because sometimes I chat like that. When I need to chat, I just go there. When Procoder, if I really want to do production coding, I always use, I don't code in a chat. So I say, in Rust, can you implement is image content type str. Boom. Okay. That was pretty embarrassing. That's cool. So all images always start with image. I think the answer is yes. So I'm showing my, you don't see the stuff there. Yeah, I think it's WebP and everything. There's a new one here, which is, I don't know, it's the new one after WebP or whatever. So I think, you know what? We're going to do that guy. Well, we don't need a function. We're going to do that. Boom. That's fair enough. Okay. And then if it doesn't support the image, it's not our problem. Yeah. So I think this is cool. We could have is text. Yeah, just to say. Just for the symmetry. So sometimes I like symmetry. And then that the copilot should be able to do this one. Yeah, come on. Okay. And then, you know what? We're going to do is PDF. Pub fn is PDF. Do we need that? Yeah, well, we're going to do that. Boom, and I'm going to see if Copilot is getting it. Not too bad. Okay. So that's good. Why this guy is complaining? Okay. That sounds pretty smart. Would have done the same thing there. No, start with. Okay. I think this is pretty cool now. And we are going to go to our adapter OpenAI. We're going to save. So I pin them. I like to pin stuff sometime. And now we have the binary, the content type. And we're going to say if it's match source with the URL and stuff. Okay. Now, oh, this is so cool because we are going to create a little PDF as well. We can add PDF support. So I'm changing the API. I'm sorry, people, but it's going to for better, and then you get PDF support. And actually, we can even get any staff support. So my point is that here's what's happening. We have the type and we have this. What we have seen here in the API is this guy, yeah, this content type. Yeah, we have this multi-part business. And the type file, and then this guy is, we're going to support that. And it's supporting the URL as well over there. No, that's not the URL. We're not going to do that because you need to upload files. We're not getting into this business. But I think that is fine off. I don't think they want to be in the business of downloading files. So we're going to go that way. But that means that these two guys, file name and file data, is it the same guy that? No. Type image URL. Yeah, I was trying to see if we could reuse, if we could make something, but that's fine. So what we're going to do is the following: content type and binary. And it's funny because the way I designed the API now is a little bit of a pain. And that's funny. That's content part. I get the content part. Can I do this? I don't really like that, but if okay. Usually I don't. Okay, I'm just trying to see if there's an error over there. Else, and we're going to do to-do there. And I'm going to put this because this is what I search all the time to see if I don't crash code. Before I commit, this is my debug code kind of thing. So when I do that, I do always search on this before doing the main commit. So I want to make sure that we're fixing this one. Do not write. So my recommendation, never have panic of unwrap in production coding. My definition of production coding is code that if it breaks, it puts people in a mess. So if you code an XP, Rust XP and everything, it's not production coding. Yeah, you are learning, your stuff, you can put on wrap. I don't put on wrap because I like muscle memory, but it doesn't matter. When you do production coding, which is a library which might be used in production, and production doesn't have to be cloud. Yeah, desktop apps is production, Rust compiler is production, Word is production, Microsoft Team is production. All of those, if it breaks, then it puts people in a mess. If that is the case, then it's production coding. Production coding, don't panic, because otherwise it puts everybody in a mess. So it's better, for me, my strategy is it's better to do the thing. Except if you panic extremely early. So sometimes there's, like when you do a cloud service and everything, it's fine to panic or to unwrap when it does, I'm sorry about the noise, I don't know. When the server kind of gets set up. Because if it gets set up, if it loads its resources and if you panic, then it's fine because you will see it at deployment time early on. And it's actually a good sign because people will say, okay, we couldn't deploy the things, couldn't even click on it. So sometimes that is good, but you wouldn't even do a panic. You will cascade back the error and then eventually you will get out of the process. But generally here, we don't, this is evil in a way. It's easy, but easy is evil. So the thing I'm saying is, we're going to do that, press save should work. And I don't like when it works because it's like, well, did I mess up something? So I'm going to do a PDF here, which doesn't make any sense. But I want to make sure that my cargo watch do kaboom. And it doesn't. so obviously I have a problem here. That shouldn't go there. So I'm going to do a okay, that's interesting. So what test OpenAI chat message. Why it doesn't go there? That's crazy. Okay. Not sure. Perhaps I didn't press save. I don't know. But now it makes sense. Okay. So that was a weird one. So now we're going to remove that. We're going to do image, save. The reason why I'm doing that is because sometimes you think that everything works, then in fact it wouldn't have worked before, and then you come to the wrong conclusion later. Yeah, and then that is a pain. So that is why I'm doing this. So now we have this guy. So that is pretty cool. So the thing I'm saying to myself right now is to say, what if I have a simple silly PDF? Super simple PDF. No, but I don't want to kid stuff. No, I think Googling that is not, only get silly stuff. So I'm going to do one thing here. I think I have Word. And I'm going to create this is a document about quantum tourism. Yeah, good luck to guess that. This is a document about quantum tourism. It will be very hard to guess that. I wanted to do a quantumtourism.com at some point. So now, so where do you host your app services? For me, I'm a big Amazon. So usually I use Amazon, AWS, Kubernetes, and all these kind of things. That is where I go when I host everything. All my stuff is hosted there. Google Cloud is also good. Azure is a whole story. They have very good salespeople. And so they are very used in enterprises. But my recommendation is you go with Kubernetes or something like that. For big apps, for smaller apps, you can find something free. But it's free, it's always temporary. Things never last free for long. So the thing is now we have this, yeah. Oh, this is going to be so cool. We're going to add PDF just like that. Are we going to add PDF? Yes, we're going to add PDFs just like that. So now we have the URL and stuff, and that works very well. We are going to, do I want to commit this guy? Yeah, I'm going to commit it. I'm going to check what I changed first. That's fine. That's fine. What is that? Yeah, okay, that's fine. And I'm going to commit it. I'm going to make a ugly commit. Git C tilde. So tilde usually will be scratch, yeah? Content part. Prep for PDF. Okay, just put it another guy. I'm going to add this guy. I'm going to check the size. And the size is 10 kilobyte. Pass my binary test. Binary is like, make sure that binaries should be always below 50 kilobytes. They are just tests there and everything. So I think 10 kilobytes is probably the overhead of PDF, mostly. So the thing I'm saying is git add -c is in green, so it hasn't been. Git amend is an alias that I have. And now they should become stuff when the guy kind of wake up. Okay, so we have our PDF over there. So this is awesome. And we won't actually need the PDF. I'm going to do unused. Actually, you know what? I don't want it. Well, I'm going to tell you why. The reason why I didn't want it is because in the case of OpenAI, if it's PDF, you don't do anything special. So I don't want in the code to make believe that my code knows that it's PDF. It knows that it has to know that it has images somewhere, but it wouldn't need to know. But I don't think that that is true for Anthropic. So I'm going to leave it there, and then we'll see there. This guy is not really needed, but this is going to be another discussion for another time. So I go back there, I go git amend, should have done a git log. And now what we are going to do is we are going to have, we're going to do our new test. So I'm going to do search for my little guy there. So we have our chat request over there in our base64. Yeah, that's fine. So we're going to save this, and then, well, we're going to make sure that our cargo watch works. It should pass. Passes. Happy. And now I'm going to pick that. And I'm going to rename that guy. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to create a new section, PDF, because not everybody is supporting PDF, so it's fine. We'll make it first-class citizen in our little test. This is a test that is reused across different guys. And then we'll go back to each adapters and we'll put it back. It's a little bit cumbersome, but it's very nice because sometimes there's some little variants. One doesn't support JSON mode and everything. And so this little pattern worked very well. Chat message PDF. We're not going to do the URL for now because URL, I don't think it's supported. And what does this document talk about? Yeah, and we are going to do from images. So that is a wrong name now. Yeah, because it's a binary. So that was a leftover of before. So that will be binary. And I did a F2 to make sure that everything is renamed. That will be a binary as well. Oh, we're going to add PDF. It's going to be cool. The other guy is going to be happy. So that is, chat the images, everything good. I'm going to go back there, git log, git amend. I am in that branch, so if I break up too many things, it's fine. So usually I don't do branch for everything, but when I do a little fix or something, I know. But in this case, is fine because, I want to work, and it was more kind of a design thinking. So now that we have this, we're going to go back to our test adapter, test common test. We have our PDF over there. What does this document supporting? We are going to have this, and we're going to go to our little duck over there. So that is my test support. So if you go there, it should be in support of the test. Yeah, so my test has test support, so I like to have this. And that is very helpful because that allows you to have your test much more lean. So I will always recommend, even for your unit test, to have a way of doing test support. Yeah, sometime on my code, I don't know if I have it there, I might have it there. Not on this crate, but sometimes I have underscore test. But here, all my tests are mostly there. But it's always good to have test support. And then this one here, I could, you know what? I could make it. So I don't want to change that. That is good enough. And I'm going to do that. File path. I'm going to take this guy. Okay. And then I'm going to say pub fn get. I'm sure that there is a B64 file. And it's not, the name is file path. This could be an asref, but that's fine. That would be my boxed in. I like it. And then he did that, copilot, but I don't trust it. And do that, get back there. And then this guy, well, I don't trust it because I had it on my clipboard, so I didn't need to try to get lucky. So that's it. And now that means that, and I could, I don't need to do that. So it's nice. This way I don't have to have my test code to know about where the duck, where my duck is. So it's nice. And then PDF. And then that would be our test PDF. And this is a little silly name, but small. And that would be less silly. And then go back there to data, and this will be a small PDF. Okay, so now that we have this, going back to this guy, and in this guy, what we want is application and get B64 PDF. That will complain, is fine. So sometimes I should have flattened everything out there. I wouldn't have needed things, because then after I do something like this, where I do support, something like that. So I like that often. Yeah. But in this case, it's fine. I'm going to continue to do the way I have it. Get PDF. What does this comment talk about? Set chat, stuff, and we're going to say quantum. We're going to look smart. Now we press save. And we are not doing any cargo watch, or we are doing the cargo watch on the images, so everything is happy. And now, if that works, I'm going to be so excited. Okay, anyway. OpenAI. So this, remember, yeah, this is a common test. It's not the one shared by everybody. So now we need to go to OpenAI. We're going to look, and the reason again that I like the thing is because, oh, sorry, I can do like this. I can fold everybody and then see like that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I can take that, and boom, there. And that will be up. Oh, why did it go up? I want to go down. That's funny. Oh, that's funny because that I had a bug before. Fair enough. And so PDF, that was painful. And then we're not going to do the URL, and we're going to do the PDF. And again, the name is very consistent, so like this, I don't have to think too much. So now the PDF is going to be kaboom. So the image works. So git log, we're on the prep for PDF, git amend, because we're like in a good place now. Now, when we're going to change that, that should be a kaboom. If it's not a kaboom, we have a problem. And so we're going to change that to that. Why is it? Good failure. Yeah, not implemented yet. That's pretty good. So we go back there. We have these guys that we need to kind of mimic it. So what we're going to do is do something like this, there, and now go back to the spec. And we're going, so sometimes what I do is because I'm not, I have issues. I'm going to do something like that, where I do that. Okay. So that is what we want. So we want type file. We don't care if it's PDF for this guy, type file. So far, so good. And it's not supporting, but we need to think about it. We need to return it or having the URL, we're going to, no, because here it's file data. They would have said file URL, I would have said, perhaps because of this, but file data, they didn't say file URL. So I think the guys that designed the API say, no, we're not supporting URL. Otherwise, they will have followed what they've done for images. So I think we can take it as a cue that should be a return error. And content type, what we're going to say, and we have the URL. So we want to give back this information. So we're going to do a format. And I have the into, I think of, if I go to my error, so actually I can do a cool stuff here. So I have, with Rust NX, you can do command option, command control E, and that would get into the closest error.rs it finds. Pretty cool. And if I go there, do I have a custom or did I remove the custom? Usually I have, oh wow, I remove the custom. That's fair. And so we need to message role not supported. Should we adjust this one? No. Last message not user. Message component not supported. Okay, that is a good one. Okay. So that will be something like that. And we'll do an error. Okay. And then model hidden. I don't like it bigger like that. We're going to fill the struct here. Let's save model hidden identifier. I don't know if I have. Okay, so now it's getting a little bit crazy here. That's fair. So we're going to do just such as it doesn't complain too much. Ah. And so, oh, I am in a guy over there. Oh, this is always a pain when. Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to deal with that. Yeah, we're inside a closure here. And so it's getting a little bit hard to do the. So I'm going to avoid the error for now, because that will be the things to do. And I'm going to do this. And the solution will be here to have a result of vector value and things. So that should work. And then it collect, but then it can fail on the first error or something like that. This will be something we need. Then we probably do something like that. And that's working much better. That's good. Now on this guy, we should have still the kaboom there because we didn't fix anything. And so that is where we want to have type file. And then we want the file, file name. Damn it. File name. That's file name. File data. So this guy is going to be our file data. This is good. And that's the base content base64. We are good. That is, so we're going to go step by step here. The first one is we have file. And then we're going to have the file data, which is going to be file data. And we're going to have the file name. And that, a little bit of underline freak here. That is going to be untitled. That is a very weird way of doing it, but step by step. Memory data file, contain file data, expected. URL. What do you say? Updater kind. So that's cool. So it says that model name, GPU for mini, yes. Invalid file data, content file data. Okay, that's fair. So that this guy didn't like it. And SVG, no, the HGV, yeah, has nothing to do. But not supported mine application JPEG. That's fair. Okay, cool. I might have PDF content type. Oh, thank you, void by Savior. Every time Savior is, you have the Savior, but your name is good. So you're right. Sorry, I didn't read your stuff. Content type. PDF. I'm sorry, I'm being slow here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is so cool. This is why we love coding, guys. So that is, I can't believe it. Sometimes it's like, I don't believe it's working. I don't believe it's working. Okay, so I do the one press here, res. Oh, the document discusses about the concept of quantum tourism. Good. This is awesome. This is awesome. Okay, so that was a fun part. Now we have to handle the error stuff and everything, which is not that fun. Now there's another stuff here, which is I'm going to go and git add, git c, and the other one, well, it's funny because git amend. I'm going to git log muscle memory, and then git amend, and then git commit, amend. And this is because compart first pass at PDF support for OpenAI. So that is pretty cool. Now, I missed a save here. Git amend. Okay, so this is awesome. Now, what we need to handle here is this file name business. And I like it a lot that they have file name. The reason why I like it a lot is because any information you can give to AI, always don't miss the opportunity of giving information to AI. It's always about how much information we can give to AI all the time. So the point here is going to be that now that we added that, we can go to Anthropic. Should we go to Anthropic? Or should we change the message content stuff? We can do both. So binary text. So, and now the thing I could say to say, where is the binary source? You know, it's like, where will I put the name? Will be at the binary level? Might be, or at the source level. Might be there. I think it's kind of a sibling of content type. So I might do something like that. I might do binary file name. And that should be an option of file string, because it shouldn't be required. I would do something like that. I think I would do something like that. And then I will do content type, and I will do file name. So now the question is, should I add this there or not? It's funny, yeah, because it's funny because now it's like, well, the URL doesn't have content type. So it is not really clean, yeah, because that URL is not going to have content type. So file name. So it's kind of weird because the binary source file name for URL doesn't really make sense. You don't want, you know, this wouldn't stuff. So there will be another argument to say, hey, you know, the file name shouldn't be there. The file name should be in binary source. File name have extension. Can we derive content type from it? Yeah, I don't think we want to be in this business. It is a good idea, but perhaps in the convenient, so I'm sorry, I think you're right. In the convenient API, when we do from, we should have a from file. And yeah, I'm sorry, I was answering the wrong way. I mean, not the logical way. You're right. It's what we want. We want to have in this from stuff that we had, like from binary, have more higher level kind of thing. I say, hey, from file, and then you know what to do. And by default will be probably binary, base 64. and then it will do that. But right now, regardless of that, is if it's a base 64, it's fair to say that there might be a file name of the base 64. I'm giving you, I'm telling the story in my head, yeah? I'm giving GENAI this base 64, but obviously it came from somewhere, path, and I can give you a path, which could be the file name or could be the path or whatever. Yeah. So that could be, you know, it doesn't have to be a file name in a way. It could be a URL, but it's something that say, because here I have the reference of the URL. You know what? I actually think even in the URL case, I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth here. And I'm just thinking because it's important to have an API that scales well. And it's never going to be perfect, but it has to scale well. So my point here, Xavier, I think it's good here to have things that the binary, like here we have from binary base 64, it's a boring one in a way, but we should have from file. And then it will do whatever it can. Now, so we'll definitely have the from file, such as people don't have to think about it. Now, regardless of from file or from file, we need to have the clean guy over there. And I do think, honestly, I think that here's the thing, because even when I have a binary source, you know, sometimes we have a URL, it goes somewhere, and the URL is cryptic. It's something that doesn't have the file name. And in fact, in HTTP, I mean, I don't want to go too deep, but in HTTP, there's a header where you have a URL that doesn't make sense. But in the header, you can say, I don't remember what it is, but where you can tell the browser to say, hey, if the guy downloaded it, set it as this file name, because we don't want a name that doesn't mean anything. But everything is UIDs and everything over there. So there's that in the browser. We use it quite a bit in some of our app. So basically, the URL is not because I have the URL that I have the meaning of the resource. In a kiddo REST, yes. But in some application, sometime when you download files, the CSV, they are mapped to some IDs or queries or whatever, and it doesn't really have a name. So my point is to say that, but now we want the AI to say, hey, you know, this is the name you have. So bottom line is, I do think that there's a value to say that this guy at this level, content name, going back to my things, which is not file name per se, but is name, option of string. And that will mean to say, hey, you can give a name, which will become a file name over there, because that is the closest stuff that we have from name, but we're not like labeling it as a file name. It could be a path or, you know, whatever. Yeah? And that could be good for the AI to have. And then in this case here, what we're saying is to say, hey, if you are like from binary base 64, we're going to say name. And then we can decide and say, well, do we want to ask people to give the name or not? And we're going to say yes now. Name. And I'm putting it first because it's name, content type, and content in a way. I think it's the right hierarchy. Even if this one is option, and you could argue that option should be last. But in the rest, you don't have the stuff. So we have name. I think that that is okay. And then you just give none when it's none. And we're changing the API anyway. And then same thing for URL. They both needs to be symmetric. And to your point here, Xavier, tell me if it makes sense. Yeah, I want to make sure I don't miss anything. But to your point, we will have a from file somewhere. And you give the file, you know, base 64 from file. And then it will, and now the question would be, do we take the file name or the file path or this kind of things? Probably only the file name for security reason. Because you don't want to give the username back to AI if people don't want it. So that is pretty good. So now the problem of this is everybody is going to do a kaboom over there, which is fine. And that means that, look at this, it's going to be nice. Name. And then in this case, we don't care about the name because it doesn't want the name. And you think, but they could have added the name. It would have been nice. And because the name of the image has some meaning. Yeah. And then this guy is going to be name. Boom. Yeah. And now we have that. We give that to this guy. So now this guy's complained because he's using the stuff here. So we're going to do a name. How we're going to do it? Name. I think name like that. Because we're not using it. So I'm renaming it as Clippy's happy. I like Clippy. I like to keep Clippy happy. And then this guy is going to be that for now, but we're going to come back. Yeah, the strategy was worn here. It's not bad. This is actually a good one that we're going to use for our OpenAI. This is much better. So we have the things you want. It's not perfect. It's not super cool, but doesn't support what? URL. File URL. Except that I didn't. This is why. This is what this one is. Why return? Known filter map. That's the way I did it. Because I gracefully kind of ignore the guys. So that is one thing we can do here. We can do a filter map. So I think I'm doing a map. I can do a filter map. This is something to solve. Yeah, I'm not happy about this because I don't want, even if we think we're not silent, we are actually silent. Yeah. So I think, well, too late. Okay, so I'm going to do, I wanted to wait to make the thing work first, but so this, if I do a sum here, I do a sum here, and now I do a sum here. Then he probably complain at the end, no? No, that's cool. That's pretty cool. And then the test is complaining, obviously, because now the test is say, hey, you told me the PDF should complain. And the PDF should complain and guess PDF, and we're going to say sum. So, I mean, in this case, that doesn't add any context, but, and I'm not trying to make get PDF returning the name and everything. I don't need that. And then it's complaining on the other guy on the image as well, yeah, because this guy's complained. So now we do a none on this guy. And then there's another guy that complains, I think, F8, none. Okay. Can you make an example of an image? Oh, that's pretty cool. Abstraction here. Can you make an example? Yeah. Let's do that. Oh, that's cool. What can we do? We can put it in the same message or two different messages. That's cool. Yeah, we're going to do that. Everybody that has been staying here is like how many 2 hours and stuff. You guys are the best. Make sure to like and everything here. I see the like very low somehow. It's probably too deep. So I do the thing. This one is our duck business. We're going to do known. And then that's it. Yeah. That is pretty cool. We have the picture here, we have the stuff, and we have the guys that say good. So that is awesome. We go back to OpenAI. We need to do a to-do over there here. Where is our warning guy? To-do. To return error. We don't have to be Java guys. And then this is beautiful. Git log. And that is awesome. And now what we're going to do, so before doing your stuff, well, your thing is pretty cool abstraction. So let's see if we can go to our test. And yeah, it's so easy. We're going to do another one. And we're going to do, so here's a strategy that, oh yeah, that's cool. Multi-binary. Multi-beans. Okay. And so now we're going to do that guy. So I like to do this, and then I'm going to go back to my test of OpenAI. And so now this is not really PDF, so I think I will do something like that, probably. Binary test with an S, go back there, binary test. And then I will have this. Now I lost my guy, and I'm going to say binary. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the strategy here, which is going to be a little bit painful, but we can do that with AI perhaps later. So I'm going to do this. What I want is chat, but to prefix all of those guys with bin, like binary or binary. And that would become binary multi in a way. And that might be binary, yeah. And the reason why is because like this, I can test all of the chat. When I do the test, I can test only those guys, all the binaries. So it's a nice way here to use that. And if you try to do with modules and everything, it gets complicated. So I'm trying to get the name relatively unique and then having this kind of strategy. And so we'll rename that later. But right now we have this guy, and this should go to that guy. And this base64, okay, this might not be exactly the name that we have. Okay. Oh yeah, every time I make a mistake. No. Okay, so now I'm going to go back there. I'm going to go back here. I wouldn't have done that, but it's pretty cool. Git add. I don't need to git add, but whatever, git log. I'm going to add a new one on this one. Git c tilde again, they will probably content part. And then I'm going to say, well, close that because I'm lazy. And then I do this. I do a CWT test with a SP, OpenAI. And I just want to test, boom, this guy. So that's the reason why I want binary, 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 because then after, but I want to do that on everybody. Interesting. We can do that later with the IPAC. We do that, boom, then tack, it works. Yeah, this is pretty cool. And I'm going to go back to my common test. And I'm going to do a print of the result. Chat res, press save. Going to see that again, always. Oh, that's funny. Oh, yeah. This one is text. Okay. So, and the reason why is, again, I always want to be in a mode where I can need to press save and then see the stuff. And when I'm there, I'm like a happy kid. And so now I'm going to do two things. I'm going to append the binary guys. So I'm going to append that guy, and then I'm going to go back up. So I need to do that as well. Where is this guys? Binaries. Binaries. And so I need to do two guys, and I'm going to do that guy, duck. In fact, I'm going to say, you know, let's take the use case. Well, I'm going to take another use case where we say, well, we are not, we are going to add a message. So we put all the files that we have, whatever. And then we want the user to be able to prompt it. Okay. So we're going to do a chat rec. So that's the way. And then, so that is the way I designed the API, chat rec dot append message, and then chat message user. And now I should be able just to do some text because I should have the right info. And I'm going to make it multi-text like that and say a question that goes to, can you tell me what those files are about? And hopefully we'll say, well, image is files. Might not say, huh? We don't know. Press save. It does compile, pretty cool. And these files are about quantum tourism, but the specific data or content of the command cannot be provided as stuff. What about the duck? Oh, swimming in the water. That's true. That is true. There were a duck in the water. That's so cool. Thank you, abstraction. That was this awesome idea. So that was the thing. I mean, I work so much with AI that I have a spiral sense. And when I say files, I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm not sure that the AI has been introduced to that guy as a file. That guy. So the funny thing is, if we put that, the doc is similar, but they mention the pattern document about quantum tourism. Okay. Now, if I remove images, we might go back to this guy, which is going to say, well, the only file I have is a PDF, so quantum tourism business. Now it doesn't say anything. Now, what we could do is in these little things, we could have a content part, text, and then here is the image file. Now press save. Now we might have the duck back. Oh, that is okay, fair enough. Okay. You mentioned the document of quantum tourism, but there is an additional detail. No. Huh. That's interesting. Below is an image file. So that's not a bug with us. Yeah, it's just interesting the way that the AI, even when the first image contains a duck, okay. Well, I don't want to spend too much time on this stuff. That is prompt stuff. The first file appear about an image of the duck, and the second file, okay, that's good. And what we're going to say is assert quantum and assert content. So I have a little specific things because I always have asserts. So here I did a little hack, which is assert contents, and then you can put str, and then your data implement this data container, which is a trait, and then I put vectors of whatever things. So that is not a macro, it's using kind of an implementation generic, and then I can get the stuff. So now we have the duck guy over there, and then that's it. And then just to make sure that it passes with everybody, we're going to do a let res. Oh, no, that's fine. I was going to do lowercase, but I think it's fine. So now we go there. Thanks for the like, guys. We got 3, yes. And then every time I do stuff with AI, it's less, but that is what we need to use now. And I think that GENAI is pretty cool. Oh, why it doesn't work? Should contain duck. Yeah, it might not be. Yeah, I'm being a little bit too. I'm not testing GENAI here. I'm testing the silly stuff. So let's go to my duck here. And I say build with images file. I'm not going to be that brave. Can you tell me what those files are, what those image and files are about? And that should work more reliably. No? Interesting. It was working before, the main issue of these files. Show a duck swimming in the water and stuff. And then I press save again. So that's the problem with tests with AI. Sometimes you don't get. Oh, that's funny. Why? Why sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't? Okay, we'll go back there. And then, what is the model that we're using? O4 mini. Yeah, let's say that we're going to switch to 4.1. Yeah, okay. We're going to do 4.1. We're going to stick with that. Image and PDF. Okay, so the 4.1 mini is good. And then this one, we're going to do the stuff, which is the one that I'm using anyway. So I think it's that. Cool. Now going back to my command test, I'm going to remove my debug here. What a Python Pro dev, yet beginner in Rust can start with here with you. So with me, I don't know, because sometimes I do a little bit videos, a little bit advanced. So like learning Rust, I mean, I have some early videos that kind of teach videos. The live are getting a little bit deeper sometimes, and sometimes I'm trying to do beginners as well. Otherwise, where to start? Again, I would say utilities kind of things, and also the XP patterns. So when you see videos on live or whatever with XP, those are pretty cool. Because that's the way I learn crates, and usually start from 0 because we learn things with a simple main. So it allows you to learn pretty nicely small parts of things. So the last one that we did yesterday with CSV is pretty good. It will be a good one. And so this is pretty cool. So there's a couple of things I'm not happy about, this one, but that's fine. This is pretty cool. There will be the thing to say if I don't give a name. So I should do another kind of test for that. But let's say that in my multi-binary guy, I don't give a name. We love to contribute to what? My question here is to say, if I have none here, what happened? File name. That's fine. Yeah, that is required when you give, but I don't want to give it required in the API. So that would be the thing here. A bird. Oh, just that. Come on, guy, you can do better. That was not a bird, that was a duck. Good. Yeah, so that's the problem with testing sometimes when you test things, and this is why it's good to do pair providers, because sometimes the thing that works once doesn't work, but this one it's good enough. Okay, so we have that. We have the OpenAI. We're going to back there, git log. We have this, git amend. I'm happy about this. Thank you, abstraction. That was a good recommendation. It's cool. Now, what we're going to do is the one that the brave guys that are still here. Like, how long is this live? Every time I say I'm going to do 1 hour, and then I'm ending up doing quite a bit. I mean, almost like 2 hours and a half, yeah. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do that for, and I'm sorry, I need to implement it. So I want to make sure I do it. And I say, well, why not doing online? People follows. And then, so name, so that is this guy. So we're not using the name. That is image business. That we're good. And now we want to also support the PDF guys. So they have this guy. Okay. And now we want to support the PDF. So first, what we're going to do is we go back there and we're going to test. We're done with OpenAI. We're going to keep this guy. Common test, we're going to keep it. Message content, we're going to close it. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Anthropic adapter. So pin this guy. And we're going to go to our OpenAI implementation, our common test, and we're going to actually go to OpenAI. And I'm going to change that the way I want it, which is binary. Binary. It's going to be a little bit out of sync, a little bit for a little while, but that's fine. Binary. And now I'm going to be, I don't need to multi. Okay. So now I'm happy. And then I'm going to do a test chat binary. Up. Binary. So like this, we make everything nice and test chat binary multi. Ah, damn it. Okay, that's fine. I forgot about that. When you do F2, it doesn't go to the test guys over there. Oh, okay, well, forgot that. Well, this is good news. Up, git restore. Boom. Okay, that's fine. That was a bad idea. So that's why git commit is like checkpoint when you do video games. It's important. Now you don't want to do too many quick save because otherwise, if you're on top of a cliff, but otherwise it's fine. And then we're going to take this guy. So those guys are not wake up yet, but he's going to wake up, yeah. So we're going to take the OpenAI, this guy, those two guys. We're going to go to Anthropic. Then we're going to have to do the other guy, which is going to be our friend Google. And then we'll have done everybody, assuming that Google support that. Test, binary test. And then we're going to add those guys. That should compile. Now I want to test to make sure that that works well. So I'm going to do a CWT test with a SP, Anthropic, and then I give this guy. Boom. That passes, which is what I want. And so I'm going to make a checkpoint, git add, don't really need that, git C, and tilde, content type, and I'm going to say Anthropic PDF support. Okay, boom. Could be prep, but eventually we'll merge it. And now we're going to do that guy. And that should be kaboom. Boom. Yeah. And we should get an error from those guys saying, hey, model name, colors, like, what are you trying to do? I need to do something about the error to make it a little bit nicer to display, but basically they say, yeah. They say, you don't know what you're doing. So now the cool thing is, if we go back to our GENAI thing, we had a cool guy, Mr. Andrew, that did a PDF, and he marked it as an experiment kind of code. So it's not ready to merge. It shouldn't merge right now. So we had a big discussion, and then we're going to do the stuff. And I wanted to flatten out the things, but today when I looked at this morning, I'm not sure I want to flatten out yet. So I'm just adding the support, and then I'm going to think about flattening out. That would be another part. And the thing I'm saying is that Anthropic support test fix. So I'm going to go there because I'm lazy. I'm going to see what it changed. JSON document and base64. So I'm not going to go to the APIs. I'm going to trust him, and the rest we had it. File data. Why it has file data here? What is this guy? Oh, image, he changed it too. I had file data today in image, and it changed it too. No, it didn't change it. The same guys. I don't know what changed. Probably the formatting or something. I don't know what. Okay, so now what we can do is we're going to go there and we're going to follow that guy. So we're going to take this. We don't want to take the rest there. And then we are going to go to our anthropic guy, binary. Okay, and I think we're going to support the same thing. So we're going to say if part, correct? If part is image. So now I know, I thought that we had the PDF guys over there, but we don't need to be PDF specific. So I will probably remove it. So I do else, and I'm going to copy paste this one, which is a mixed, I'm not sure if it's smart. Oh, no, it's not smart. I don't want that. I just want to steal that. Okay, because the rest is going to be more confusing because it took, and it's fine, yeah, because it was a different approach. So we do that, we put that in comments such as we keep that, we go get these guys. So sometimes it's a little bit tricky with, oh, okay. Back. Okay, so let me go back there. We're going to do like this. If, so we do step by step to make sure it works because otherwise it gets very tricky. So if part is image, then we do these guys. And then I'm going to do that there. So we're taking no, but I cannot do that. Right, it's always, that's why. Yeah. That's why I don't like sometimes when things are in line like that. Getting harder to know where we are. Not a big fan of this because it's good when it's one line, but when it's multiple lines, it gets tricky to read. So I do a if part. Thanks. We have this guy. And then if we have else, none for now. That should compile. Yeah, you want to go to a compile point here because otherwise it's a pain. And now we should complain, but that's fine. And git log, git amend. Because again, I like to have my restore, my checkpoints. And now what I do is I'm going to implement the thing I grabbed over there. That guy, want to implement it there. And this means that we're going to have the same. There might be a smarter way of doing this because for both, we're going to have that. Off-topic question, sorry, sometimes off-topic question, but what computer hardware do you code on? Oh, I code on Mac, MacBook, M3. Do I have M3? Yeah, I think I have M3. I didn't upgrade to M, but I maxed it out, everything. Because I spend so much time that if I divide by the number of hours, even when I max it out, it's probably cheaper than a SOC. So at the end of the day is, yeah, Mac maxed out, M3, MacBook Pro. And that is because I also use DaVinci Resolve. I love SketchUp and all this kind of thing. So SketchUp. And so I do quite a bit of things. So anyway, so now I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, yeah. I'm not going to be over smart. So that will be duplicated. I don't like duplicated code, but that's fine. We'll do this. We'll press save. That should compile because we're cheating. And now it doesn't support file from earn. And now we want this guy to be like that guy. So type document source. Oh, what? I don't understand now. I thought it didn't support. I think it didn't support URL here. Oh, it does support URL. It's funny, they don't support image URL. Oh, they might be supporting image URL. Oh, okay, that. Oh, now I'm confused. Where are we? No, on Tropic? Now I'm confused. Inline data, URL. Oh, they do support URL. They probably added it. But that was the code before. Okay. Okay. We might change that later. Well, why not? Well, we're going to do this then. So we're going to do sum here. You know, I will add that later. I don't want to be part of the same guy. On the same commit, same things. I'm going to add that later. So right now, we're going to go back to this guy where we say document. And then over there, we see MIME type. Oh, inline. Oh my God, it's super confusing. Inline data, file data. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm messing up everything. It's cool. He worked on it on Gemini and everything. This is a very cool PR. So it's my mistake. I was like looking at Gemini and stuff. So this is why it didn't make sense. So PDF here, if it's PDF, top the URL, so they support URL somehow. And then, and for the images, they don't, which is weird. But right now, we're going to do. I think if I take this, can I take that? I'm sorry, it's getting a little bit frustrating here. And then I'm going to say binary source. I'm being lazy here. Okay, cool. Works. So now I don't want this because we're not in the business of knowing stuff. So content type. Yeah, compiles. Good. Bytes. Where is the bytes from those guys? That's good. And I'm going to say B64 day. B64. Prefer B64 because it's a string. This is a string, yeah. And then basics for documents, and there is no name, that's fine. And that means that why does it doesn't complain? Oh, it doesn't complain about the name because we have this. That's good. And then that's it. So to do might need to return an error. Check if supported now. And then this guy, document URL, okay. We're just going to test this path right now. And so we go back there. And that is awesome. And then that's it. We have PDF for Anthropic. Big thanks to Andrew. I will tell him, unfortunately I cannot merge his things, but I will tell him a big thanks. This is awesome. That's pretty cool. Looks nice. So I'm going to do that. There's no commit. Git log and git amend. Okay. And what was the problem to close this stuff? So now we can do the next one, which is going to be the Gemini. And the reason why is because he did the work for us. Okay, so we did that. What about, before we do the Gemini, we're going to see the test of Anthropic. We test those guys. So I'm going to start doing the thing I wanted there. And then I will change the other strategy, these names in a different ways, because otherwise I'm going to complain. And the reason why I like to do that is because now if I want to take all the binary guys, so it doesn't find it anymore, I do text chat binary. Boom. And that will run them all. Cool. Very cool. It's so exciting. Git amend. And then I'm going to do to OpenAI, and I'm going to do the same thing over there. The story here is the one that has been updated, mean that I've checked them. And then I'm going to check the other stuff later without you. But the cool thing is we can do stuff. And we're going to git C. Content part and the test names. And then we're going to go to Gemini. And we're going to take the same guys that we have over there. So we go to test. Open those. We're going to add those two guys. We're going to do a test Gemini. We don't need Anthropic anymore. And we are going to do, that is the binary test. Binary test. And then I'm going to add these two guys. So Gemini doesn't support URL. I think Google is saying, you know, we're big, people like to sue us, so let's be out of this business. And then we're going to do a git. We'll go back there. And if we do we're going to make sure that this one works. So CWT, test P, Gemini, this guy. That should be working pretty nicely. And so we're going to go git C tilde content part add GENAI yes support. Okay, and now we are going to do a test. This one, which will be kaboom, which is fine. CWT test. Do I have it there? Yeah. And then I do something like that. PDF. That shouldn't work at all. That shouldn't work. So we go there. Something is off. 1P. It's weird. That is super weird. Oh, no, that's not super weird. My mistakes. We have it out of the box on this guy. Yeah, this is a quantum tourism. That's good. I cannot, who can say quantum tourism? So, no, this is good. And the reason why this works very nicely is because in the adapter GENAI guy is we don't really care. There's nothing, we're doing this. So it's already done in a way. Because we already had it before, and to make it work for images, they already did it the right way, the Google guys. For this stuff, they did it the right way. So it works pretty beautifully. And so now I do that, and look at that. I remove that. Feel free to ask questions. We're going to probably end the stream here, which is super cool, because now we have PDF on Anthropic, native Anthropic, native Google, which is thanks to them, yeah, and OpenAI. So that is awesome. I'm going to do a search for my stuff. I will merge all of those guys here later. So I think, did I install this guy here? So I will merge all of those guys eventually into one commit, and I will say add PDF support for blah, blah, blah. And then one thing we are going to do is look at that. I don't know if it's going to work on this one. And if it doesn't work, I'm not going to fix it live. But I don't know if you have followed today. But the thing is, we have a new model, which is, so I like Fireworks. I integrated Fireworks as part of GENAI. So now you can namespace them with Fireworks : and then you can force an adapter to it, so which is cool because we can use any name. And today, they release these two guys, OpenAI, this guy, and then this guy. So let's see, and they're pretty cheap, yeah? And let's see, we're going to take this guy, and then serverless, and we don't have more information about that. Okay, so let's see this guy. That is a name. And here it is. We're going to go to, it's so cool because now we are going to go to Fireworks. So we can test, we're going to go and test OpenAI. We're going to take those two guys. We're going to go and test the Fireworks adapter. So Fireworks is super cool. And I like Grok, but Grok, they always have smaller models. They don't have the big guys. And this guy is pretty good. They're following binary test. They're following the big one. And they have a lot of, they have all the latest one and everything. It's pretty cool. So now if we do this, and you can see that I'm going to have my little things here, binary. And then if I do a CWT, and we are going to see here that the image, the one that we're using by default is this guy. So you can just use a GENAI namespace stuff, that works well. Or you can use their full, long, super cool, super thanks name. And then you put that at the end. So the one here that we just got is this guy. This guy is pretty impressive because he's like a 120B, but it goes back to a 5 billion active. So the ratio is pretty impressive. So meaning that it should be relatively fast. So I can do that. And I am going to, before getting excited about it, I'm going to do my test. I'm going to go step by step, okay? Because it's not. Oh, wow. That's interesting. We're going to do this guy and CWT, test, P, fireworks, and then we do that. Stuff. A little bit up, boom. Which is cool, yeah? It means that the Maverick and everything and fireworks, and we support GENAI support together fireworks and together.ai as well. I like fireworks. It seems to be a little bit more, have more models and the price and everything, but together might be good too. And together they have quantize lots of things. So now what we can do is go back this guy. Okay, this is cool stuff. So that is for the namespace. You have to check the namespace, but I'm going to be lazy. Const model str. So fireworks. So the namespace means that you can take any adapter name and you put it Gemini and 2 colons. And then that will make sure that this one will get no matter what. Otherwise, there is some name guessing sometime. Often. Such as it's simple to use and there's few overlap. But with open source models, name guessing is a little bit tricky. So I do a little bit on Grok, but even that at some point might go to a namespace like that. So now we do fireworks. Fireworks. And I can do the long name after. Also, we have this short one where it will actually add all of this by default. But if you want to have control, if there's one slash, I don't touch it. Boom. Touch that binary. Oh, that's not my fault. Binary stuff, response file, object, error, invalid request. Yeah, but this is not me. So it doesn't support it. That's disappointing. So if we do that, Maverick supports it. And if we do the Quen guy, const model str, and then I do that. So if I comment this guy, but this guy is not really worthwhile because if you go to Quen, the big one is almost the same price. Oh, they're annoying with their uppercase business. Fireworks. Oh, no? Huh. Okay. Okay, so who say that these guys are not very good then? Error, invalid request, invalid message, cannot process image, lens combine, one, lens, please provide valid image. Oh, that's weird. That is a weird one. Okay, so I don't know why it will work on that guy. Interesting. So I might have to work on that, but I will do that later. So I think it's good for today here. So hopefully this that was a long one, but we added PDF to GENAI now, and it works on most of the things. And as you can see, you can use the open source things over there, just not with images apparently. But if you do a text chat, anything, namespace or conversation or whatever, that works. That will work. And so those guys are pretty promising and stuff. So you can just put that in your things. And in fact, when you use AI Pack, you can use that already. Okay, so hopefully this was kind of a long one, but hopefully it was useful to some. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. I'm going to wait for 2 minutes if any questions. And then otherwise, I think I'm going to close it. So I'm going to go back to this model. Those are going to be there. Git log. This is not really stuff, but that's fine. And I will clean up anything anywhere. And I will publish it. And then at some point, I will probably release another alpha 10 with that first support. And then eventually we'll add and make it better over time. Okay, until next one, happy coding.